Again, good morning. I'm Van Romero. I'm the Vice President for Research at New Mexico Tech, and I'll be hosting today's event. I'd like to welcome you all. Before we start, we'd like to first have the national anthem. It's going to be sung by Jimmy Castillo from the Lee County Electric Co-op. Jimmy?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please stay standing. Please stay standing. I want to catch you before you sit down, and I'll lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. You can be seated. As I said before, my name is Van Romero. I'm the Vice President for Research at New Mexico Tech and a professor of physics. As my job as a professor, it's my duty to speak for 50 minutes and then get all of you an assignment. So I hope you brought pencil and paper. I hope you turn in your homework at the end of the day. Welcome to the second energy conference that's been organized by the Center for Energy Policy here in Hobbs, New Mexico. The center is a division of New Mexico Tech, and it's operated in cooperation with the New Mexico Junior College, whose campus we are on. The center was started about 2 years ago to address the rapid growth in energy technology and its impact on public policy. When we started, the idea was to host energy conferences here in Hobbs. And a number of people said, who in the world is going to come to Hobbs, New Mexico to attend an energy conference? Well, I think you have the answer today. Look around you. The country has come to Hobbs to attend this energy policy. People from across the nation are here today to see what it is that we have to do, what barriers are in front of us to change our economy and to change our energy economy so that it fits the needs of our country. So I think it's been a great success so far just to get you here and have this discussion. This discussion started in President Lopez's office a number of years ago when a number of county commissioners came to Socorro from Lee County and said, look, we know we have a robust and very thriving energy economy in Lee County, but that's not going to last forever. And as long as we have the resources now, shouldn't we be looking to the future? And I think that showed great insight from the people of Lee County. And this is the fruit of that effort. Of course, a conference like this, a number of people deserve lots of thanks. I'm going to thank only a few of you and probably leave a number of people out. First of all, I want to thank Senator Carol Lavelle, who has provided funding for the center for a number of years, and we hope we'll continue to do so in the future. Carol, thank you very much. Working hard today, you'll find Fred Yarger, who's our resident person in charge of the center here in Hobbs. Robert Cottle is a member of our staff that works very hard putting all of this together. Mike Hensley, who's walking around in the crowd someplace, I'm sure, did a lot of legwork. And, of course, Dan Fine was very instrumental in getting our speakers here today. So all of you, thanks very much for organizing this event. Now, I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk for 50 minutes, so I guess I'll usurp my time. And let me introduce a good friend of mine, and that's Congressman Harry Teague. The congressman is a small businessman here with a background in energy. And when I say a background in energy, I mean that. He started working in the oil fields for $1.50 an hour. And from that, he's lived the American dream and built a business that employs over 250 people. I think that's the epitome of the energy economy that we come from and how we want to move our energy economy into the future, is to continue to have people who start off in the industry with big dreams and are able to realize those dreams. In 1998, Harry was elected to the County Board of Commissioners, and he was one of those people who was in President Lopez's office that had the insight to start this activity. Harry and his wife, his 2 children, and 5 grandchildren all live here in southern New Mexico, which shows you his commitment to this area. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Congressman Harry Teague.
Good morning. You know, I'd first like to thank Dr. Van Romero of New Mexico Tech for the introduction and for inviting me to speak here today. This is a pretty good crowd. Y'all like this building? Oil and gas paid for that, too. Before I get into anything else, though, I want to make sure I don't forget the most important thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hobbs, New Mexico. And welcome to what I think is the energy capital of the world. We have potential for wind and solar, the capacity to produce biofuels at a large scale, and we have oil and gas. Also, when I was chairman of the Lee County Commission, I helped get the LES uranium enrichment facility here in Lee County, which today, just east of Eunice, is employing hundreds of people. I moved to Hobbs with my family at the age of 9 to find a better life, and I'm pretty sure we found it. Today, when I'm not commuting back and forth between New Mexico and Washington, D.C., I live here with my wife, Nancy. My son, Troy, runs our business, and we spend as much time as possible running around after the grandkids. This is the greatest place on earth, but more importantly, it's home. Of course, it wasn't always easy. When I was 17 years old, I went to work in the oil field for $1.50 an hour. Since then, the oil and gas industry has seen its good times, but it's also had some bad times when folks lost their money and people lost their jobs. Today is one of those times. If you step outside this room and ask the residents of Hobbs how things are going, they will tell you that times are tough and that we're in a recession. Demand has plummeted, and folks can't pay what they once did for our oil and gas that we produce. They'll tell you that they're out of work or they know someone who is. I myself have been fortunate. One day I was given the opportunity to buy my own company. I did, and I now have a nice company with many wonderful employees and customers. But you didn't come here to hear me ramble on about Hobbs and the life that I've lived. You came to talk on the biggest long-term issue facing us as a country, and that is how Americans produce and consume energy. By this point, most of you know that I'm an oil man. I always have been and always will be. Over the 50 years that I've been a part of this community, I've done just about everything that there is to do in oil and gas. And there's nowhere else that I'd have rather been or anything else that I'd have rather been doing. Petroleum and natural gas have powered our country for the good part of a century. And I'm proud to have created energy jobs here in New Mexico and helped produce the energy that our country runs on. Here in New Mexico, we have seen many benefits from the oil and gas industry. Each year, the industry provides over $2.5 billion to our schools, roads, public buildings, and employs over 23,000 people. But the United States holds less than 2% of the world's oil reserves, and we now import 60% of our oil from foreign countries. The foreign oil that we have depended on for a generation has turned into a dangerous addiction. A lot of people didn't expect an oil man to run for Congress and promote energy independence through a focus on renewable energy, but that's what I did. And even though that's what I did, those same people didn't think that the first bill I would introduce would be to promote renewable energy, but I did that too. Then I went ahead and had it passed into law as part of the economic recovery bill. I also wanted to give Washington a little dose of common sense you find in places like Hobbs. Before I got to Congress, some of the folks up there wanted the same thing that I did, more renewable energy. But they wanted oil and gas to pay for it, with more taxes on the industry. Now, I know that that doesn't make sense. So when I saw an opportunity to put the renewable energy tax credit in the emergency stimulus bill, which was not subject to our pay-as-you-go rules, I fought to get it in there. And by doing that, I saved the oil and gas industry $13.1 billion. What we want to do in New Mexico is double up on energy jobs. We add wind, solar, and biofuel jobs and increase our oil and gas jobs that we have now. We do that through addition and subtraction. We take away the petroleum that we import from places like the Middle East and Venezuela and replace it with clean, renewable American power. That way, everyone wins, all but those other countries that don't like us anyway. And that is great for somebody looking for work in Grants or Roswell, and too bad for Hugo Chavez. We need to dramatically widen the exploitation of our natural abundant resources. Not only oil and gas, but the sun, the wind, and our wide open spaces, and the ingenuity of New Mexicans who want to start businesses, produce energy, and create jobs. And I make this one commitment to you today. I will work day and night to turn potential into production and ideas into energy. Since being sworn in on January the 6th, I've met with countless individuals and companies who want to do nothing but develop energy and create wealth and jobs in New Mexico. But sometimes their commitments are matched by obstacles, and their ideas are not nurtured with resources. My goal is to ensure that every person, every company, and every entity that wants to develop energy projects in New Mexico ends up producing energy in New Mexico. My next goal is to make sure that everyone who wants to develop energy in Texas or Oklahoma ends up producing energy in New Mexico. My re-energized New Mexico agenda might still be in draft form, but it already has several core points. One is transmission. The first obstacle for anyone seeking to produce renewable energy is access to transmission infrastructure. If you can't push the energy from where the wind is blowing to where people are willing to pay top dollar to heat and cool their homes, you have nothing but chapped lips and a sunburn. Here in New Mexico, we have created the state RETA, the Renewable Electricity Transmission Authority, which is a visionary step forward for developing energy in New Mexico. And in the economic recovery package, we in Congress provided $11 billion for that infrastructure. Into the future, the federal government must continue to invest and work with states to site transmission lines, expand transmissions, and send energy to market. Number two, we must help renewable energy producers take advantage of the Renewable Production Tax Credit. The tax credit is critical to investing in wind, but many of the folks who want to start wind projects in my district do not have the tax liability to take advantage. For example, we have nonprofit electricity co-ops, we have Indian tribes, and we have small-scale producers, and they all have trouble using the credits. We need federal policy to turn tax credits into capital. 3, we must get rid of the red tape and bureaucracy that stands in the way of people who want to produce clean, renewable American energy. I will work with federal agencies to limit and streamline the hurdles that we face just to create energy out of the air and sun. 4, along with green energies like wind, solar, and biofuels, we need to make sure that there is a base load energy being produced in our state. New Mexico has the potential to be a global capital for safe nuclear energy. I think nuclear is a good friend of green energy because it keeps the transmission lines full even when the wind stops blowing and the sun stops shining. 5, we all need to be energy entrepreneurs. By using our wind and sun and by turning our dairy lots into energy producers, and we should be able to supplement our income doing this. I will work to make that happen. But know one thing. As we pursue energy independence and new types of energy jobs, we cannot turn our back on the energy source that we will need to depend on for decades to come. Many of you know that President Obama has proposed to repeal some key tax provisions that incentivize oil and gas production, like the expensing of intangible drilling, percentage depletion, and the marginal well tax credit. Since the President's proposal, I've talked about the importance of those tax incentives to leaders in Congress and in the administration. We had a small victory when the budget proposed in the House of Representatives did not include the tax hikes on oil and gas proposed by the President. But the real work is still to come. Thank all of you for coming to Hobbs for this important conference. I know many of you are already working to promote energy production and green jobs in New Mexico. And I want your ideas, and then I want to go get it done in Washington. Together, we will re-energize New Mexico, and we will re-energize America. Thank you. God bless the state of New Mexico, and God bless America.
Take a few questions, sure. So far, we're doing a good job on time this morning. So, and I can't imagine that a politician didn't take his entire time to talk. So
I didn't know we had.
we have a couple times for a few questions. If we have any hands in the crowd that would like to ask Congressman a question, yes.
Is that the gas where the funds are in there to put in the distribution system for automobiles and trucks and stuff like that? As a matter of fact, we're working with Congressman Bourne from Oklahoma and Congressman Larson from Connecticut on that right now. So I think that's something that we need. I think we need to promote the use of natural gas to help us. You know, that's one of the big steps in weaning ourselves from foreign production.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you very much for your support of renewable energy. And I wanted to ask you about your position on carbon tax. What do you think about the carbon tax for the United States, and do you favor having it?
Easy question right off the bat.
Yeah. No, you know, I need a lot more information on the carbon, the capture and sequestration, the carbon tax, whether it's a tax or capture and trade, whatever. I need a lot more information, a lot of things explained to me about that before I would be able to make a decision. But we spend a lot of time talking to people that are educated on that to try to come up with one.
One more question. Well, maybe there we go now.
No, right here.
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry.
First of all, thank you for your very kind remarks about you. We appreciate that. What I'd like to know, and I think the rest of us here today as well, what can we do to work with your office to help address some of the issues facing Mexico's infrastructure development and transition development?
You know, I think all we need mostly from your group is communication. Stay in touch with Peter Amblers, my legislative director. He's here today. Make the contact. Keep us informed of things that you're doing, things that you continue to need. It's going to be real relevant that we stay informed and in communication so that we can stay in communication with the leaders in Washington, D.C. and keep them informed of the needs of rural New Mexico and rural America. Thank you.
Congressman, thank you. Before you step down, we have a small token of appreciation for those good remarks. This is a picture of our administration building at New Mexico Tech. This is where you and your fellow commissioners came to meet with President Lopez about a little over 3 years ago, and the origin of this entire activity that we have today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.